Kumlena Blatt Gemara. Today's daf, Tuesday, Erev Sukkot. It's Kofi Beis. The Gemara says that the Medrash says that Sukkot is Rishon Lecheshbon Avonis because the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, everyone is so busy. Who has time to do an Avera? So we'll try to do that a little bit quicker because who has time? Omar Abaye says Abaye. Abaye said we're so worried about transfer of estates. I still don't understand what we achieve. How come it's Akra Nachlam shift to the Himmel shift to the Abba? Let's say we say to a woman, you have to marry a man from your own shape. Okay, let's say she's from Shevet Shimon, and she has to marry. Well, the story of the potatoes of Shevet Menashe. So you Shevet Menashe, she has to marry a man for Shevet Menashe. That's why. Because we want to ensure that the estate doesn't mix, doesn't get transferred from one Shevet to another. Abai said, I don't understand. This din of not allowed to marry someone from another Shevet is only a girl doesn't yashin, right? A girl. So in the case where at the time of the wedding, the girl is 18 years old, and she has two brothers or one brother. So she has no prospects of yashning. Then she could marry another person from another shevet. Nothing wrong. The only is if she's a lone daughter, single daughter, or a bunch of girls, then she cannot marry because the estate will be transferred. So if she married when she was allowed to, in a case you're allowed to, call you allowed to, or married before this thing came into effect at the end of the 40 years. They were married beheter. So right now, the mother who married, let's say she came from a family of a bunch of boys. So she's from Shevet Shimon. She married someone from Shevet Reuben. You're allowed to. Then they have a son. So this son technically is from Shevet Reuben after the father. Then all the brothers died in a car crash. And now she is the inheritor. So what does she have? She now has the assets from Shevet Shimon. So what's going to happen? The son now, or the husband, is going to yashin now Shevet Shimon, or the son. So now you just did this. So you never really guaranteed because if the mother is, so you're telling me that the mother has to marry from the own. So as long as the time they get married, it was mutter. So how do you really prevent things happening? Says the Gemara. So this is a new sugya according to so anyway, ultimately, it's Akra Nachum, the Abba, it moves from the shaver, the mother, the shaver, the father. It moves a little bit. Now, when let's say if she dies first, the son yashes before the father. So if she dies first, if she dies after the husband, she dies first. Now the son so the mother's estate moved halfway, because even though the son legally is in the shaver of the father, Reuven, but the son is still the son of his mother. So it moved halfway to the son. And right now we're going to assume halachically, since he's considered part of the shevet of the father, it's as if it moved all the way. So how do you, and yet the Torah allows him to get married. So what's the point of all this? How do you know? The Dilma Shaina Hasan Shekar Huzba, maybe there's a big difference. Because it already moved partially. If he did it in a hetadik way, and already, and this woman here from Shevet Shimon, Yashin's her parents, it already happened. Then the Torah doesn't mind if it already happened. We're talking about preventative. Make sure it doesn't happen in the future. But this, if they married, B'shas was heter, and then Huzba, it's already already transferred to her father's estate. It happened. So according to Rashbam, there's no Amalei. Who's he having a discussion with? The Gemara is supposed to be Dilma Kvar Huzba. Maybe no such word Kvar Huzba, and it's always Asa, which obviously we cannot say because then what's the point of the Torah? You must come up with this chilik that the Torah is talking about the chatchila. Don't do this to prevent it happening. But if Kvar Huzba already happened, moved a little bit already. Amalei Rabbi Yemar. If you're going to believe in this verse of Kvar Huzba, we can therefore say which according to Rashbam doesn't make the Taisa learn this continuation of the previous Gemara is moving to the husband, moving to the son. Rashbam doesn't care, husband, son. The point is that if this mother married in an Eifon Heter, and then she became the heir of her family's estate, we messed up again because it's all mixing together. Nothing. We don't care if it's Ben or Baal. So this line here is Taisa's Girsa. Eliyamin Lemin, you got Husba, if you don't believe in this principle, Husba, what does it help? She marries someone the same. Let's say he marries a man the same as her father. Her father is Shevet Shimon, so he married man Shevet Shimon. Let's he married Shimon, but her mother might have been from Shevet Yehuda, and her mother was allowed to marry her father because she had brothers. But then the brothers died, so her mother yarshened. So now this woman here she herself is a mixture of two matas. She herself already is an embodiment of her father and her mother. So what is it going to help me if she marries a man from the same shevet as her father, but she's bringing in half of her is bringing in the assets from her mother's estate, and she was allowed to get married because there were plenty of brothers at the time. So you might say because he means it like might have a. So you have no choice but to say, if Kvar Husba, once it happened, it happened already. Because if not, what does it help me if the father is the same as they? She just brought in the assets from her mother's side to her husband, even though it's the same shevet as her father. So it doesn't help.
What if she can't yasher? Say if she marries
after you can yasher,
then it's as if she's not there. It goes to the brothers then.
Just in the case, no, which you have to have a limit for that. Well, that's a big chiddush. Okay, that's a very big chiddush. So Gemara comes to the obvious answer. So maybe the man sabin lo legavra the avuha mishifta the avuha the ime mishifta the ime. No problem. If the husband father is a Shevet Reuven, and the husband's mother is Shevet Shimon. And this woman that he marries, her father's a Shevet Reuven, her mother's a Shevet Shimon. So even if she ends up yarshening from her mother, right, which is Shevet Shimon, her husband also, half of her is a Shevet Shimon. So they're equals. It's not taking out completely, it's taking out because the husband also has in him half of him Shevet Shimon. So the mother, and the Torah doesn't say that. Right? The Torah just said that you make sure that you don't marry someone for a different Shevet, talking about the father. If the husband's father is from Shevet Reuven and the husband's mother is from Shevet Shimon, marries, as far as Yerusha, he will yarshin his mother. So therefore, if you're talking about, what about the assets now, right? So the mother as well. What are you telling me that her mother, if her father died, whatever, her mother died, and no other children, brothers, suddenly, then she gets it, and she got from Shimon. So let's say different Shevet. It doesn't matter. The husband also is from that shevet, so it's not taking out. You're not marrying out. So the Gemara Hachav so why does the Torah say you have to marry someone from the same shevet father? The Torah should have clearly said the same father and the same mother. So say that. So the Gemara we couldn't say that because Iksiv Hachi we wouldn't understand. It doesn't matter who's the father, who's the mother, as long as they both have the same shvatim. So we would have thought it doesn't matter if the father is from Reuben, the mother is from Shimon, or the father is from Shimon and the mother is from Reuben. We would say that it's all the same thing, but it isn't, because the halacha is the father who's considered the shevet, and therefore if the mother, let's say Yashin's from Shevet Shimon, because her mother had a lot of assets, and the father's an Ottoman, and she Yashin's from Shimon, but her husband's father is from Shevet Reuven. Right, and let's say husband and mother's a Shevet Shimon. So we're saying, it's the same because the Torah said father, mother. We would think it doesn't make a difference if your father and align that you have to be exactly the same Shevet. In other words, the father comes from Reuven and Shimon, and the mother comes from Shimon. If the Torah would have said that they both have to come from the two equal Shvatim, then we would think it doesn't matter if the husband's father's from Reuven and the husband's mother's from Shimon, and the wife's father is from Shimon and the wife's mother's from Reuven. It doesn't matter because it's not marrying out because the assets remaining in the family. But halachically it's not correct because halachically it's always the father, paternal, which means that if she's bringing in assets from whatever it's from Shimon, and bringing it to her husband whose father is from Reuven, you just took assets away from Shimon to Reuven because halachically it's paternal. If the Torah wanted that, they would have to add a bunch of other words and it gets very complicated. So therefore, what? At some point there was someone married. No, we're saying right now. Let's say nobody married out Shevet. We want to say why mother? Yeah, you're allowed to if there was no. Either you're allowed to. They were married before this din came into effect, Or the mother, there were plenty of brothers at the time. There was a brother, so she was not had no prospect of yashing. Then it's only because of the nachla. Transiting matter. No, that's not right. You see, I would thought that really Kamash Malon. So again, I have no raya. More doesn't give an answer because we have no raya whatsoever to prove that one way or another. Abayi's question still remains a question. How do we do to prevent it? So we must say, yeah, so we want to say that you say kvar huzba, but we're saying that no raya. Who said we say kvar huzba because he still doesn't really help because you have all of these problems. Now starts a new sugya. Tanya, continuing back, sorry, go back to what we said before. How is it the husband that we're worried about that he's going to take the state away, or is it the son who's going to end up taking away from the one shave because the son yashin from his mother and his father? So we have two brises. Tanya, we had one brise. They both say the same thing, but they learn it a little bit different. Tanya, one brise we learn the following: one brisa says that we learn now the problem is we're worried that the son is going to yashin from one shevet, and since the son halachically belongs to another shevet, he's taking away from one to another. Which pasuk are we using for that? It says a pasuk like sisev nachla lebnei Yisrael. You shouldn't transfer memata el mata from one shevet to another shevet, right? Because we'll soon see. You shouldn't want another shevet. So we say that pasuk is who we worried about. That, the closest relative, which is the son. And we're worried that the son is, you shouldn't marry a husband for a different shevet because your son is going to take away your assets. Knows the son. Maybe we're worried about, forget waiting for a son. Just the fact that you marry this person, he already is in line to yashin you. We have a second pasuk where it says, nachla, you shouldn't move, transfer nachla, another shevet. This says word acher, another one. That's talking about the husband. Because we'll see later, acher means someone else who's a friend to her, a husband. The son is not a friend, the son is your flesh and blood. So it's talking about, we're worried about this. So if the second pasuk is talking about the husband, then obviously the first pasuk must be talking about somebody else, the son. So what do I do with the Lasis of Nachla Livnei? So what are the first pasuk of Lasis of Nachla Livnei? That pasuk that's talking about the son. Because we know the second pasuk is definitely talking about the husband, then we know the first pasuk, but the learner is talking about the son. That's Bryce number one. Bryce number two learns exactly the same thing, but he learns the other way around. Tanya learned the other Bryce. Says the pasuk the second pasuk says you should not transfer from one mat to another. That's talking about the husband. How do I know? Maybe the second pasuk is talking about because we're worried about the son. Because the first pasuk is the one that we know definitely what it is. Well, it's talking about the son. What am I going to do? The second pasuk, let's see some nachla. So the Gemara says the Kuli Alma. So both Brises agree. Mias memata lemata achar besibasa bala kosov. They both agree with the psukima. First pasuk is talking about the son. The second pasuk is talking about the husband. The chilik is the first Brise believes that the second pasuk you must talk about. You have no breda, but to learn is talking about the husband. So therefore we know the first is the son. And the second Brise says the first pasuk we know is talking about the son. So therefore the second one is the husband. So what's going on here? Why is this one convinced the second one must be the husband? And the other one says, no, the first one is. My mashma doesn't mean most of the Gisois take away the word simon. It says in Pasik, ish, because the first Pasik says ish, that it says ish benachalos. Who's ish? Obviously the husband. Tavayu ish, and because it says ish must be the husband, and because it says a lot of times the husband, the Torah uses the word ish. There's bound to be the pasuk ish nami. Who says the word ish for a husband, so it must be on the husband. So if the first pasuk is the husband, then obviously the second pasuk is the ben. Sorry, since the second pasuk it says is the husband, then the first pasuk must be talking about the ben. Says you what are you talking about? Tavai ish ksibu. Both psukim says the word ish. So if so both are talking about the husband, then according to you. It says in the pasuk, ish benachalosa. It says ish. Then it says yidbeku. They should cleave. Where do you find the lashon yidbeku? By a husband, because it says v'davak lishna. It says v'davak by a husband. So it's talking about the husband. So what are we talking about? But tavai yidbeku ksibu. Both something says yidbeku. Eloma Rabba says Rabba Omakra. It says in pasuk yidbeku matas b'nei Yisrael. It says in pasuk In the second pasuk, which is why we say it's the husband, it says Yidbiku Matis. It says that there should be who different tribes. Who is the one who's not part of the tribe, and trying to bring them together? It's the husband. The child is flesh and blood. It's the husband. Okay. Abachi says Omakram Mata Lamata Acher. It says from one tribe to another. Who's an Acher? Ben Lav Acheru. Now, the Gemara is very difficult to understand. The Gemara, if they already knew the psukim, didn't they know it says Ish Bo Psukim? Didn't know it says Yibkum Bo Psukim? So look at the taste at the top of the page. Fascinating tastes. Tavayu Nami Yibku Ksibu. Pa'amim Shalai Haya Bekim Psukim. Can you imagine? The Amoraim or the who are having a discussion didn't know psukim, but this is even a pella because they did know the pasuk because it said it's ish, but they didn't know the other pasuk, but they knew half of the pasuk, they didn't know the whole pasuk. And then he brings another. Imagine Amoraim. They had to know the whole Mishnah. We had the Kedusha, how many Mishnah? There were 600 different Masechtas, and then the Chaim Matzina B'Soif Shosh Shlogs Napara says there we had this beautiful Gemara. How come in the first dibras it says the man Yarich Mecha doesn't say Mayitovlach, and the second one it does? Amalei Satanchum said, Amalei said, Ad Sha'atim go to the Tanchum. Ad Sha'at Sha'ali. Why you ask me why it says Toiv? Ask me B'chal what it says in the Ten Commandments. Shani day you never been Toiv Alav. You're asking me why? I don't even know what it says in the Ten Commandments. Klach Eitz Tanchum. Go to the Tanchum. They did not say Sadibris. Imagine. Tashis doesn't like the Pshala here, even though he agrees that they don't know, he doesn't like Pshala because they knew the pasuk. So what's going on here? From the few cases where Tashis says, look at 4 lines further, it says, over Kunteris Pirish Yofer. Instead of arguing or just saying, I like Rashi's Pshat, or Kunteris is the Rajbam. And he's saying over here that maybe there's some drasha that we use ish for something else. That's why it says ish. But here it's not a drasha, it must be the husband. Amazing traces. Anyhow, we'll continue tomorrow. Mitzvah Shem. Have a good day.